Hello, guys, and welcome to Behind the Bunker. This is Saturday night, our quarantine show. Thank you guys for joining us. Tonight is a special night because it's not just all of us in the studio. Tonight we have John, all the way from Paintball Media. John, how are you tonight?
I am good. How is everyone doing tonight?
Good. John, how do you spell or pronounce your last name?
Amodea.
Amodea. Okay. And then we have Matt the Crypt in the top left corner.
He's not there.
He missed his opportunity. We have Joe in the top right corner.
I'm here. Nice to see you. Thanks for tuning in.
And Gavin in the bottom left.
That's right, folks. Thank you so much for joining us. And I'm so sad that Todd asked for the pronunciation of your name, John, because I wanted to see how many times you would butcher it this evening. But what I'm really excited about is your project. We're going to talk a lot about that. And folks, if you are tuning in for the first time, welcome. And if you are a long-time viewer, I'm so very sorry. But please, for everybody who's tuning in this evening, make sure you hit like and share because it is going to be a historic show. It's going to be fantastic, and I'm glad you're along for the ride.
Yeah. And then we have Josh Zuby Zaburkis, who will be with us for hopefully the duration of the show, but may or may not have to bow out. Nice to see you.
Yeah, I'm going to try and bring everybody a different brand of bullshit that just came out of Gavin's mouth. So. Yeah, no, but he's not kidding. Like and share, please. As always, it does help. And, of course, lets everybody know that you, too, are quarantined at home with the rest of us. So.
Very good. So why are we all here, ladies and gentlemen? We are here because, we've been talking about a movie for quite some time. This is the History of Paintball documentary. And when are we set to go live with this, John?
So the online ordering starts as soon as you put that graphic on the screen, if you haven't already done that. And the movie will be streaming starting Monday at noon Eastern Time.
All right. So here you go, ladies and gentlemen. Stream it at vimeo.com/on demand paint and then /paintball history. There it is on your screen. So you guys can check that out. So yeah, so that's it. And, to let the cat out of the bag, full disclosure, we all have seen it. John, have you seen it?
I've seen it 47 times, I think, this week.
Very good. Do you remember timestamps?
Oh, yeah. I actually can. We were talking about this. My wife and I were talking about this the other day. I can literally recite the movie as people are being interviewed.
Yeah.
So, don't tell me how it ends.
Does the paintball break on somebody in the end or no?
No, it bounces, unfortunately.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome.
That is
play on.
So, well, I mean, some of the stuff we're going to talk about tonight may be spoilers if you haven't watched the film yet, but on the same token, most of this is common knowledge, so we're not really giving away any secrets. But speaking, as Joe brought up the first hit, so the first paintball elimination, the first paintball winner of any sort of official paintball match was Richie White. I did not know that.
Yes, it was.
Yeah.
Richie White played a 2-hour game, never fired a shot, collected all the flags, won the game.
Yeah. There you go. So he played with an evil omen.
So, I mean, we were all privileged to have an advanced screening of it, so we certainly appreciate that, John. And I don't want to reveal too much to anybody who's tuning in right now because I certainly want everybody to download this because if you've ever shot a paintball, if you've ever been interested in paintball, I think there's absolutely something for everybody in this documentary. So the amount of work that you have put into this is exceptional, and I can't imagine why you're still married. Because I think the level of commitment that you had to put into this project is unbelievable. So for me, watching this, there were certainly times where I was smiling like an idiot from nostalgia. But there was a tremendous amount for me that I've learned, even though I've been in the game for a long time. So I think there's certainly a little bit for everybody who has ever heard of the word paintball before to get the complete history over the last 20 years or so. What did it cover?
Oh, sorry. Last question. I didn't hear that, Gavin.
So what was the period that was covered during the documentary?
Oh, okay. So about 2 years before the first game and literally right through last year. So, yeah, it's 38 years worth, 39 years worth.
And paintball will be celebrating its 40th birthday next year, which is pretty cool that this has come out. So That's an exciting a milestone, if you will. Anything that turns 40 is pretty exciting.
Absolutely. You must be 40, Joe.
I'm beyond 40.
But the special started when he turned 40.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's for me the earliest history that those discussions about playing that first game, leading into the first game, and then the first company started, and the first competitive company to NSG. Those early days the stories are just amazing to me, and most people haven't heard them. So that's kind of the most exciting part of the film for me, is that those old stories that most people hadn't heard before.
I found the economics and the whole business, end of it really fascinating. How certain companies were overtaken by other companies and amalgamated, and where people are. I found that. We kind of knew the Reader's Digest version of it all, but there was some insights in there that I'm sure most of us didn't even know. It was great.
Interesting. Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead, Gavin.
Now, going back to the beginning for you, John, why create this? Why was this burning for you to get out of your system?
It's a really good question. So my wife, who's also my partner in the magazine, and I, we're just huge history buffs, paintball history buffs. So we thought we were going to create a YouTube video, an hour-long YouTube video, 45-minute long YouTube video, or a series, maybe 6-10 minute. Anyway, so we got rolling on this. And then we said, hey, we really need to interview this person, or we need to interview that person. Or we started, kind of formulating what we needed to do to make this happen. And we looked at the list, and it was, 200 names long. So we said, it's going to take some financing. It's going to take some time. It's going to take some thought. So really, it started out as really just an idea. And because we're both, huge paintball history buffs, it started out as an idea. And we also knew that there's just a huge amount of incorrect paintball history on the internet and all over, that we felt like it would be really cool to get the real story out there. And it just snowballed. It got bigger and bigger and bigger. And then it became, hopefully we were thinking an hour and a half project, hour and a half film. Then we were looking at, well, maybe 2 is okay. Final edits were 3 hours and 5 minutes. We cut a little bit off of that. And we ended up at 2 hours and 50 minutes. It just happened. I don't know how else to say it.
Yeah, I can only imagine some of the things you've left out of the film.
Yeah, so there is, newsflash, going to be a director's cut, and it's probably going to be 4.5 hours or 5, maybe broken up into a series.
On top of what you've already put out?
Yeah.
And does that include the 45-minute hairdoing tutorial from Todd?
I think we only have 30 for that.
Oh,
nice.
So
cut it.
That is the plan, because it's just so much. I don't want to say so much left out, but they're great stories that we just couldn't fit in. There's just so much you can. In a 3-hour film, there's only so much time you can spend on the MPPL or a scenario league or something. So our goal is to really expand on that and go 4.5, 5 hours, whether it's a series or a one-off. We're not sure yet.
Yeah.
There's only so much time you can spend on speedball on a good day, let alone in a movie.
So now that you've done this, not to put any more ideas in your head or more on your plate, would you ever consider doing just a straight out documentary completely on like the NPPL or speedball in general, or just doing scenario type thing just on their own, so they've got their own 2 separate? Because I imagine you had to cut a lot of stuff out from both.
Absolutely, yeah. We do. We actually have. We've been working on a list of what we're calling mini documentaries that we're going to follow up with. So, as an example, a 45-minute mini documentary on the sniper incident. I'm sure you guys know a little bit about that.
Yeah,
yes,
that was one thing I want to talk about. You touched on it, but you didn't get into it, and I was a little disappointed in that.
That's why, because we just we're trying not to make a 5-hour movie, so we knew as we're editing certain parts of the film that a lot more is coming on this topic. We're doing a mini documentary on Navarone, which they're a fascinating story. First paintball team to ever get a sponsorship. First super team in paintball.
That was from JT, wasn't it?
Yes. It was JT 1987.
Eyes paid attention.
Yeah, you are. So we have about 15 of those.
I was there.
Yeah.
So yeah, we got about 15 of those in the hopper. So.
Oh, it's very good. John, may I show that second image?
Please.
Okay, so here you go, guys. Help keep paintball history alive. New content added every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at paintball.media. Original films, videos, and photos, guys. All you got to do is get yourself hooked up. Head over to patreon.com/paintballmedia. That's gonna be some exciting stuff right there. Also, I'm going to go through this while I have an opportunity here in case we don't get back to it. These will be posted on social media, but a lot of us have already seen the film, especially the people that are in it. Here we go. There's Adam Gardner. He's saying, great job. I watched the entire film straight through as I just couldn't stop. Here is Machine Gun Mike from one of the original Iron Men. He says, wow, so enjoyable. I won't get into everything everybody says, but here you can see. Dave Massey from Hell Survivor says, we just watched the movie. What a great documentary of our sport. I highly recommend this movie to anyone who wants to know the real history of paintball. Rich Martinez, Ground Zero Paintball. He says, this is going to go over big. I hope so. We're all going to try to push this. I know that all of us have been pushing the documentary, and everyone else I've seen on our timelines, they're doing the same thing. So hopefully people will take the time and opportunity to do this. It's also important. I mean, this is something that's going to help support our industry, and gives an opportunity for people to realize where they came from and how it all transpired. I mean, we're lucky enough to still be able to talk to the people that are alive that were around when the first paintball was shot. I mean, think of the guys that started any other major sport. Most of them aren't around. There's no real origin stories. Here you had interviews and film of them talking about it and depicting it. So this is great. If nothing else, even from 20, 30, 50 years ago, this is going to be a tool for everybody to use, right? When it becomes a high school course, this will be part of the textbook.
You know what? And I certainly recognize that, we are not quite as enthusiastic as the project really warrants. I've been really, really excited about watching it, and I certainly hope that everybody who has ever played the sport of paintball gets behind this as well, because it was really well done, John. And I know this is not only, there's probably a tremendous sacrifice, not only financial, but for time-wise as well, to do this project. But again, I was really, really giddy. It was exciting from beginning to end. And a project that is over 90 minutes, right, is quite an endeavor. But for the 2 hours and 51 minutes or so that I sat there, I didn't even realize it was that, Yeah. And then at the end of it, I was like, oh, no, where's part two, right? Because, in quarantine, we're used to binging everything right now, right? But, yeah, I certainly, I'm so grateful that we've had an opportunity to see this. I'm so grateful to you and all your partners for putting this together, because it's a nice time capsule. And the cinematography of that was brilliant and beautiful. The stories and it's nice to be able to see people that grew up watching in magazines or on Warpig, and see them, what they're doing today and their contributions and how much paintball meant to them and still means to them, like it does for each and every one of us. So, bottom of my heart, thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate that so much. One of the things for me that I love is, some people that may have stepped away from the game, like Bill and Don Mills, who've done so much for paintball. As time goes on, you sort of, they wean from your memory, and you sort of forget, the contributions people made. So one of the satisfying things for me is to just kind of document that all. And now it's there for people to see, and people that may not ever heard of Warpig or Don and Bill Mills will know what they did. And that's, yeah.
But you think of, even we just go back 10 years in time, before Facebook, before Instagram, and paintball was operated on a series of forums. Like there's people that are playing paintball right now that have no idea that before the internet there were forums. But before there was forums and before there was the internet, there was mail and fax machines. I remember sending out my original group organizer packages in the mail and making my logo with Letraset and stuff like that. And there was no internet. There was no way for me to find supplies. You'd call Crossman, and Crossman would put you in touch with Joe Bortolotti at RP Shear in Windsor, and he'd tell you who was doing this and who was doing that. You would phone people. it's crazy. And I remember that picture in the history of Aldo Perrone sitting on his couch with his white shoes on and his pants. And I used to go to Aldo's house in Mississauga and pick up my paintballs, and he'd had this bar and there's a pool table, and it was like his house. He'd have a skid of paint sitting in the sun ready to go to England, and Gino would be behind the bar assembling nightmares. It's just crazy, like what I remember from like the early days. And that's like 80, 86, 87, before that's back in history.
So John, I'm going to take a quick pause on this, and then we certainly want to talk about your project, and
no problem.
So
yeah.
But I want to talk about you, and I like to ask this about any guest that comes on the show. How the hell did you get involved in this paintball game? What was your you still there?
Are you talking to me, Gavin?
Yeah, sorry, John.
Sorry.
Yeah, about because I know you've had a long history both in media, but before that happened, you had to have picked up a paintball marker. So how did that all transpire? And then tell us a little bit about how you got into the game and why you're still here.
I will. I'll tell you a quick story. In 1985, I lived in New York City, and I had friends in Maryland and Pennsylvania and Delaware and Virginia, and we used to meet once a year someplace for a camping trip. And this one summer in 1985, we were meeting in the Pocono Mountains in Pennsylvania, and we were meeting at a designated spot. About 30 cars, about 50 of us or so, and we all met. We jumped in our cars. We drove down, I believe it was Route 903, and I was driving the lead car, as luck would have it. I look to my left, and I see a couple hundred guys in camouflage with faces painted, and I made a U-turn. I'm like, what is this? I pulled into the parking lot. All 30 cars behind me pulling in the parking lot, and they said, we're playing this game called Skirmish. And it was, of course, Skirmish USA in the Poconos. We signed up to play the next day. I think we had 40-ish, 42 of us played. 3 or 4 of us played for years and years on a team together. And I just, I fell in love with it. That very first day I played, I looked at one of my friends and I said, I'm leaving my family business and I'm going to make a living doing this somehow. And it took me 4 years, but I opened a paintball field in 1989. And really, everything about this game. I love the competition. I love the people. I love the culture. I love the creativity of the industry. How really every innovation in paintball came from players. And if we're telling the truth, once the players that owned the big companies left and the suits took over, the game took a big hit. It just shows the ingenuity of when you love something, how great you can make it. And so those are some of the things I love and why I stayed around. I've been saying for 10 years, I think I'm winding down in paintball and I just can't do it. Just can't do it.
So you don't have a definition of what winding down is. That's the problem, right?
That is the problem. Plus, I can never sit still, so I have to do something. So my winding down is only working 10 hours a day or something. I don't know.
Yeah. Hey, just because we have people tuning in, John, people are asking where and when can we watch this? So if you guys head on over to vimeo.com/on-demand paintball history, you can start streaming on when?
So they can pre-order today, right now, and Monday at noon, the stream will go live.
Sounds good. And you know what? We should get that out there. How much is it to watch this bit of heaven?
Yep, it's $9.99 to rent it or $12.99 to own it. So the $12.99 means you could watch it over and over as many times as you like, forever. And the $9.99, I believe, is 72 hours.
Very good. Very good.
That's American funds or Australian?
That is American funds. Because I don't know what $9.99 in Australia is.
Very good.
It's probably $10 American.
Wouldn't it be $6.66 because it's upside
maybe
down?
Yeah, upside down everything. Yes, that's right.
Or you can trade for Vegemite.
Yes,
that's right. Vegemite and sandwich, as they say.
There you go. Hey, while we have you on the show, you are from Paintball Media, and this question comes in from Jim Winters. He sent it into the show, and I figured I'd wait until you were on the show to ask this. He says, "What's going on with Paintball Media magazine? Can you get any print issues from their site? Can't get any print issues from their site. Anyone else having problems ordering from them? Stay healthy and germ-free, Jim." Sorry, stay healthy, signing off, germ-free Jim. Okay. So can we get print magazines? Are you going to get into that foray again, or?
Magazines is what I've done since 1991. We still publish a digital magazine every month. We've done that for however many years that is, 30 plus years, or 30 years. As everybody knows, the print magazine industry is just, if it's not dead, it's pretty close to dead. And we've tried, to bring back print a couple times. We did quarterly magazines for a couple of years. And the fact of the matter is, the cost of printing, the cost of shipping, everything goes up, and the zeal for wanting print magazines goes down. So in the end, at this point, it's just not feasible. We can't with subscriptions and advertising, we can't even come close to paying.
Well, and all paper pulp now is being diverted to toilet paper, so it's even more expensive. Yeah.
And even before that, we're talking, if we talk real here, it's $50,000 to put out a magazine every month, right? Or every quarter, whatever it is, per issue, about $50,000. And that's a lot to ask out of an industry our size at this point in economic history where we're at.
Okay, so here you go. Here's a question then. Give me a time period where that wouldn't have been an issue. I'm looking for, when was the high point of paintball in your opinion? Joe and I would probably have similar dates, but I kind of want to hear what your thoughts are.
Yeah, from an industry perspective, I think most people that are in the game, from the manufacturing point of view or media, would tell you, 2000 to 2004, huge time for the game in terms of how much money was being spent and how much money was going around the industry. I'll just give you an example. With Paintball 2 Extremes in 2001, we had Kingman Spider. They bought the first 19 pages of advertising in the magazine at $1,500 a page. Right? So that's a monthly bill of $28,000, $29,000. That's just not happening anymore. But yeah, so those early 2000s.
Yeah, I think Joe and I would agree with that. I would even push it back a little bit.
I would say 2007 is 2006, 2007 where our numbers peaked. Then we had the recession in 2008, right. And things dropped off a cliff and landed in hot lava and then went into an abyss. But anyway, then I would say probably the most money that was being made in paintball was probably in the 94, 93 era. Is when, costs and everything were probably equaled out. But I would say between 2004 and 2007 was the peak.
Yeah, if we're talking like overall gross amount of money spent in the industry, it wasn't the 90s. The 90s were a really big growth time in terms of player base and things. But yeah, those early 2000s, probably to about 2006 or 7. Yep. Those early 2000s were incredible. Yeah.
In 1985, there were 52 or 53 fields within an hour radius of Toronto. You'd open the Toronto Sun, which is a newspaper every Monday morning, and there would be pages and pages of ads for like the adventure game, the survival game, and all these other different games. I remember it quite vividly.
Yeah, those are good times for sure.
Hey,
so are the good times over, John? Okay, we've talked about a peak. We've also sort of been playing around that time. If you're looking into your crystal balls, do you think that was sort of the extent of our growth, or do you think paintball will be even bigger than it has been in the past?
I don't think it's hard to say. I don't think it'll be bigger than it was in the past. I think at this point, we have like market saturation, right? Everybody knows what paintball is. In 1999, you could walk into a Walmart and ask people about paintball, and half the people didn't know what it was, right? So everybody knows what paintball is, and they either decided they want to play it or they don't. So I think we've reached about as many people outside, our normal circles as we could reach. So now, pandemic, businesses shut down. It's really hard to know what we're coming back to. And I'm sure we'll come back strong. It's just going to take a little bit of time. But I think we have a new normal now, and it's not 2006, but it's also not 1995, right? I think our new normal is going to be pretty good, but it's not going to be 2006.
I think so. We are on the cusp of what we feel was going to be a rebound or a good year this year. Roger Reber in the live chat says his field started in 99 and ran all the way to 2013. And Devin Schwartz, he says, moved to Central Florida in 2004 and immediately learned about paintball. And Tom Bertrand wanted to know, he was a donator. How does what happens with donators like himself? Now, I think with Tom, he donated some buttons and some trinkets. But what was the donator level for early release, and how did that all work?
So there was a couple levels, and I don't have them in front of me, but like for $25, you got your name in the film as a supporter, right?
Yeah.
So if you scroll to the end credits, you'll see, 100 or so names, maybe more than that, as supporters. And then there were different levels. And the $100 level, which was, I believe, one of the higher ones, the $100 level was you got to screen the movie just like you guys did a week before its release.
Yep.
So that's really that those are really the most common donations would have $25 and $100.
All right, well, let's go around the horn here because Gavin's monopolized this entire show. We've all had an opportunity to watch. We've all had an opportunity to watch the movie. Now, Josh and I, maybe you guys, but Josh and I had to watch it in increments, just with what's going on in our
small increments.
Yeah. So, Josh, let's start with you. What were your initial thoughts, or what are your thoughts on the movie? What did you like, or anything you can tell us about it?
I really think it's something that I'm going to rewatch a couple of times throughout the year, just because I know there's stuff I missed, and there was other things where you kind of watch and you're like, what? And then you can try to Google some stuff, and then I look up maybe a couple of minutes later, and it's like like I said, I was watching short snippets, so it was. I'm sure I missed some really good stuff in there that I'll definitely want to see again. But
yeah, for sure. Gavin, what about you? Maybe some highlights or lowlights?
I hated the whole thing.
Okay.
I heard it didn't like you either, guys.
All right, moving on to Matt.
Again, and you know what? And I've said this, and I'm going to continue to say this even after this program ends. It is absolutely a gift to paintball, and I certainly appreciate John and all the efforts because, like I said, I was grinning like an idiot, and I caught myself doing so. Not like I said, not only for the nostalgia, but for all the stuff that I didn't know about paintball and all the behind the scenes stuff. Yeah. And I can only imagine that was just a snippet of information that made it to the film. And when I saw the end and I was wondering what made it, or what didn't make it to the film, like how much footage you actually have on the cutting room floor. And I mean, I had a lot of thoughts in my head too. Like you need to be looking at Netflix or Amazon or some of these streaming services, because I think this needs to be accessible to everybody. Yep. And if you like I said, if you had any interest in paintball at all, this will suck you in, right? Yeah. There's enough for everybody there. So it's something that I really value, and I'm looking forward to. I believe you said in the summer about the Blu-ray copy or DVD copy coming out, because that is something I want to put in my collection, hold on to. And give to my grandkids, damn it. Right?
I would like an autographed copy.
I would like a VHS copy if you can.
They're going to look at you and say, Grandpa, nobody uses DVDs anymore.
Damn kids, get off my DVD player.
Before we talk to Matt here, one of the highlights that Gavin brought up is I kind of liked watching the film. Every moment there was someone else that I either knew personally on screen or knew about, or was, recognized some of them. And it's kind of like watching this weird, like normally when you watch a movie, you don't know anybody, right? It was just kind of a nice homecoming.
But to Todd's point too, there was a couple of faces that I knew, but didn't know who they were.
Yes.
That you see in the background here and there. You've met once or twice. Somebody's like, oh, this is Dave. And it's like, oh, hi, Dave. Yeah. See you later. And then later on, you're like, oh.
Yeah.
I don't want to interrupt as well. Yeah. I don't want to interrupt, but it was also nice for some of the people that you were showing on the documentary, because I thought they died. But I'm like,
no, Rocky is still alive to this day.
Thank God you're still alive. Yeah. Thank you, John.
There's one scene in the film that's only a few seconds long. It's B-roll behind somebody talking, and we put that in there because it fit the scene. And it took me about 5 views myself before I realized it's Jerry Braun and Jessica Sparks playing on a team in 1987, which is really cool. Like nobody's seen Jerry Braun play unless you've been playing for 30 years. So
yes, and Jerry's still alive, so I'm grateful for that too.
Yeah. Speaking of Jerry, he had a great, and I hope this is Jerry. He had a great quote from the movie, and this was when they were kind of debating about whether paintball should become, legalized or not legalized. And he was defending paintball. He said, and I'm going to muck up the quote, but it's very similar to this. He said, first game as kids that we all play is either tag or hide and seek. And I thought that's brilliant, because that's exactly what paintball is. And I thought, good for him. And, I don't know if he was telling Sally Jesse Raphael that, or Donahue, or whatever show he was on when he was saying that. But
that was actually to me. He was talking to me when we did that.
Okay. I thought that was a really good way to sum up our sport. But Matt, what did you think? Did you have any highlights in that?
Aside from Tom K being in it more than I thought it would be. Basically, I really enjoyed the first half where a lot of the initial game was covered. Like, that was a lot of information to digest, but it was very fascinating. It's great that you got in contact with those people and were able to have a sit down with them and get their take on what happened and how it happened. I thought that was amazing.
Did they want to be a part of this? Because it seemed like in the interview process that they were more than happy and were excited to have, not necessarily their 15 minutes of fame, but excited to sort of tell the story.
Yeah, it's an interesting thing, because 10 years ago, I reached out to most of those guys and they weren't really very willing to talk about it. They just kind of moved on. Believe it or not, the youngest player from that original game, and 8 of the 12 are still alive, the youngest one is now 77.
Wow.
So they're older, and I think they're just kind of feeling nostalgic, and they really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
And I think this is another thing that's really cool about the film for me is when I was doing those interviews, I can feel like for the first time in a long time, they felt good about the game they created. Because I know a lot of those guys didn't leave on the best of terms. There were financial issues and there were lawsuits in the early days, and they left. So some of them left broke. So they were reluctant at first.
Not much has changed.
A couple of them took a few phone calls, but in the end, they really did enjoy it.
That's good. Hey, just a reminder, guys, on Monday night, not that John is a slouch, but we're going to have Simon Stevens on the show on Monday night. And why we're doing that is because that gives you guys an opportunity, because the film is getting released on Monday at noon, to watch the documentary and then come over to Behind the Bunker, and we're going to kind of talk about it, spoiler alerts and whatever. We'll talk about the whole movie, and you guys are welcome to join in the conversation as well. So check that out Monday night at 8, once you've had an opportunity to check out the film. And in case you guys are tuning in late, you guys can go right now to vimeo.com/on-demand/paintball history. You can see the link right there, and prepay for your copy. It's $9.99. You guys have up to 72 hours to watch it. Or it was what was it, $12.99?
Yes.
And you guys can download it and keep a copy for yourself, so you guys can watch it repeatedly. And I think that's what I'm going to do, because I would like to have a copy so we can check that out again and again.
So John,
sorry, I was going to move on to Joe, because Joe hasn't been asked about his highlight.
I really enjoyed listening to Charles Gaines talk about it at the beginning. Then his son sort of came in when he was getting shot for the first time and run with the paintball. I really enjoyed. I knew Charles Gaines was obviously involved in it from the beginning. I think I talked to him in the early days when I was trying to start a field. I called the survival game, and they said, "Get lost, kid," and but I didn't. So I enjoyed that, and then seeing some of the old footage like that Nightline footage with Ted Koppel talking about teams from Mickey's Jihad against Not Berry Farm and stuff like that. I got chills, and then seeing the people in that old tiger stripe stuff and their face and all painted, like those were like crazy days, like playing paintball with safety glasses, and you had cam stick on and people were shooting at you. You'd get hit in the face and it'd be muddy and rainy. You'd still play. People didn't 2020 on you, man. Like, people played paintball. Those were the days, and that stuff. And all those names, like Marty Tripes, like he was my JT rep. I would phone JT when they were in Chula Vista, California, and I would talk to Marty Tripes, and I knew him because I raced motocross as a kid, and he was a motocross guy. It's crazy times.
Yeah. So
I think that anybody that has any kind of inkling and interest in the sport, you really need to sit down and spend 3 hours and watch this movie. It's really an epic it's an epic ride through, paintball, the beginnings of where we are. It's like Gavin said, like there's no, you can't talk to Abner Doubleday about his first time shooting a basketball into a fruit basket, or talk to somebody about, Lord Stanley or the Earl of Derby donating the first Stanley Cup in 1893. But you can talk to these guys who started the survival game, the paintball. I remember trying to explain paintball and what it was to people in 1985. Well, you go out into the forest and you have a gun and you shoot at paintball and you try to eliminate your opponents, and they're looking at me like my head was on fire. And paintball back in the day was perceived as a bunch of ex-Vietnam veterans running around shooting each other, drinking beer. Yep. That's what that was perceived was. Yeah. You had to be 18 years old to play paintball, and now it's like a 10-year-old birthday party thing. So it's really evolved.
Travis Murner, I pinned his comment in the live chat. There is the link so you guys can go and prepay for Monday. Wolf in the live chat says he's getting excited. Wolf, I'm sorry to tell you this. You did not make the film, sir. I did not.
Yes, he was in it. I saw
just
him.
Kidding.
Wolf, this will get you more excited than your MILF Mondays, your Hump Tuesdays, your whatever you got on Wednesdays. This is better. You take all those pictures and you throw on a white blouse and a pair of glasses, then you might get today. And that's National Librarian Day today.
And I'm going to go back to Joe's point about the makeup, the camouflage makeup. One of the things I remember from the film is, again, you can't put makeup on anymore because you're wearing full goggles. And it does. Stick. Yeah. And guys are still doing it anyways, coming up. Okay, whatever. I didn't do it, so whatever. But you still see guys coming to the field with that nonsense on, and it's like you can't because you're wearing goggles. But I think that was the greatest thing back then, because you could really get into that. You saw them with their fatigues, you saw them with their cam stick, and all of that sort of stuff, and that's what the draw was, right? It wasn't. Yeah,
absolutely.
It's not as PC as it is today, for sure.
Look at that. That's paintball. That's the art of paintball, creeping around the bush. Like, that's cool. Yes. Now, or sometimes you creep around the Brazilian.
All right, so switching gears a little bit, while we still have some kids watching the show. So, John, the world has turned a little bit upside down and a little bit different from what you had planned on releasing it. How will you be spending April 20th? With the whole launch? What will you be doing?
I will be sitting at my computer pushing the refresh button on Facebook to see what people think of the movie. Because obviously, I'm so emotionally tied to this project. It's been 2 years in the making, and I haven't hardly slept in 2 years.
I'm so gonna make some troll accounts. I'm just kidding. So I mean, literally, I will be probably just talking to people that are watching it and have watched it, and kind of taking it all in. That's really it's a strange thing, when you work on a long project that has like an end date, but there's no like real satisfaction for the whole time in the middle. You're just waiting for that last thing, and so it's here, and now it's done, and I'm not even sure how to act, to be honest. Well, today was my first day off, and I can't remember how long. Nice.
That's
hey,
fantastic.
Here's a question. Not anytime soon, because obviously you need to get the revenue from all of that's happening. But at some point, I would like to have your permission. And again, this can be down the road, but I would like to stream the movie whilst we're watching it with the people, and have a live chat as well, so that people can join and enjoy the movie and maybe commentate with friends and be it'd be a good thing to have on Facebook. Now again, this will probably be wholly maybe past the quarantine and whatnot, but I think it'd be still a fun time to do that.
Yeah. So I would love to do that too. The reality of the situation for us is right now, with all we've invested in the film, we really can't afford to show it for free.
Oh no, I get that. I'm talking like down the road.
But down the road, absolutely,
yeah, for sure. And
when it's in syndication and people are watching it, in cartoons, and it's been on Fox and everything already, then we'll show it.
Yeah.
Hey, speaking of that, like one of the things that Netflix and Hulu and these kind of networks look for when they're buying into independent films is they're looking for the excitement within that film's community, right? So if this thing, if a million people stream this thing and watch it, that certainly bodes well for future things in channels like Amazon and Hulu and Netflix. So this is a really important for us. It's a really important phase of the bigger picture. So
if you guys would like to see paintball on TV, get yourself a copy of this and stream it. Show those numbers of support. That's how you guys are going to do it. And again, I've pinned a comment in the live chat, vimeo.com/on-demand/paintball history. Go get it. Pay your $9.99 or pay your $12.99, as Gavin said, and I will agree with this. I'd like to watch it again. And with that, I'd be able to watch it again and again and again. So head on over and do that. And then join us on Monday if you guys can, Monday night at 8. And we're going to kind of have a debrief after the movie. Not like there's any spoilers, but certainly you might want to try to watch some of it before we have Simon on.
But like, for the love of God, you're not doing anything anyway. We're all locked down, right?
Rick Chard.
Yeah.
Rick Chard in the chat is actually trying to be able to watch the show for free. He suggested we play an extravaganza next year.
Next year's a long time away. We'll see.
Yeah. Yeah, there you go. So here's two things I wanted to bring up, and one thing that and this won't be a spoiler, but one of the things that you mentioned in the movie that I honestly did not know, and maybe some of us did, but I didn't realize that both Jones and Oakley, as goggle manufacturers, actually came out with a paintball goggle.
They did.
I did not know that.
Yeah, I had a pair of Jones goggles, and I put them on a tree stump, and I shot it from about 20 feet away, and it exploded into like 45 pieces.
Yeah, so even still, I'd love to have an original Oakley pair.
Yeah.
I wouldn't dare wear them, but I'd love to. I'd love to see if anyone out there has any Oakley goggles.
Joe, do you have a pair?
No, but I know where there's 2 boxes of Jones goggles, brand new, I think, in boxes. So I'm pretty sure I have 2 pair of the Jones paintball goggles.
Yeah.
Yes,
wow.
I'm pretty sure I do.
Yeah.
I don't think I threw them out. I'm pretty sure I know where they are. They're still in boxes. I don't think I ever wore them.
After the documentary, they'd be worth something now, because now that people would.
You know what? Monday night when we stream it, I'm going to wear my tiger stripe advisor pattern stuff, just like in the movie, man. I'm going to start wearing that again.
Joe, I hate to suggest it, but due to this quarantine, you may have some time on your hands. You might want to take an inventory of all of your stuff.
This quarantine's not long enough, Matt.
Yeah.
I've actually just put I did a couple 4-minute videos in 2016. I just went through really quickly some of my guns I had, and I put them up on the Flagger Facebook page. So it's kind of cool to watch.
Nice.
And gentlemen, I'm curious for the Flagger store if I'm able to order that sock hat you had in the bin, the JG sock hat.
I looked. I think Todd took care of the sock hat.
I think I might have 1 or 2 left, because I sold one of them, and then I kept one for myself, and then I found one. So if you desperately need one, I might have one still.
Well, with my crazy hair, I need a sock hat to go out in public. So.
John, do you remember
in the 90s?
John, do you remember those JT no sweat brow bands they had in tiger stripe? I still have a few of those.
I do. You do. That's cool.
Those are kind of cool. So I'll have to see what I can dig out for Monday.
Awesome.
Yeah, I'm not.
Cool to see that.
I'm not going to give it away. But one thing in the documentary you cover is who actually introduced the first game of Speedball, and I thought that was kind of interesting. Well, there's a couple other things, but I'm not going to get to those because those are all kind of sort of spoilers. One thing I do want to tell you guys about, and it's not necessarily in the documentary, although they are mentioned a couple times in the documentary. Did you know that Planet Eclipse guys are the creators of the most incredible tournament paintball markers, soft goods, and gear, and they have the winningest markers in paintball, and now innovators in mechanical actions, including the M170R and the MG100 MagFed Marvel.
Enola Gay is the world's leading manufacturer of smoke grenades, thunderflash, airsoft, and paintball grenades for use in theater, film, photography, and of course paintball. Pull a tab on an EG or next event. #PopSmoke. Gavin, you're on mute. You're muted, Gavin.
Yes, Arrows, proudly made in the USA. Their thick welded seam, stainless steel hardware, multiple color options, and layouts are available. 2020 is here. Get your feels. They're shipping now. And ask about full color printing and custom logo options. Customize your next field with Arrows.
Ruthless Paintball Products caters to both professional players and people who talk on mute on Zoom. They have set a new level of paintball playing apparel. You can head over to their website now and use our BTB15 promo code for 15% off.
And more than just swabs and pads, Exalt is a way of life. Available at discerning retailers, fields, shops, and shows. It is tournament-ready, battle-proven Exalt.
In the beginning, not before the history of paintball, you fell out of a tree, you stumbled down a rocky cliff, you waded chest deep through a mosquito-infested bog, and then you realize it's party time. You own a Tippmann. Now combine Empire, JT Tippmann, V-Force, and you get the world's largest distributor of everything paintball, GI Sports, makers of the new Tippmann Stormer. Pew pew.
DLX Technologies, guys, the manufacturer of the Lux paintball marker, as well as other great product lines like the SP Shocker, the GOG Enemy, and the Freak Barrel Kits, just to name a few. A longtime paintball manufacturer. They've got the gear that you can trust, and their gear is outstanding.
For over 50 years, Altama has proudly carried militaries from across the globe through every challenging environment, including malls, deserts, urban battle zones. Make Altama your next airsoft or everyday shoe. Or remember back in the original days, jungle boots.
Not all ninjas wear black with advanced colorways, coatings, adjustable regulators, remote lines, fill stations, hydro testing, and so much more. Ninja products have what it takes to keep you out front and always in the game. And do not forget, folks, they are made in America.
Yeah, there you go. One more thing I want to let you guys know. Head on over now to vimeo.com/ondemand/paintball history. Put your $9.99 down, your $12.99, or whatever you deem appropriate, and get yourself a subscription so that you can start watching with us on Monday. And on Monday night, we're going to have a live show with Simon Stevens, and we're going to kind of recap the movie and go from there. So definitely check that out, ladies and gentlemen. So, John, so far, are you enjoying yourself here at Behind the Bunker?
Absolutely, as always.
Very good. So,
appreciate you guys.
What are you going to do now? Movie's done.
Well, so, if things were different, I would be flying to Florida with my wife, sitting on the beach for a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
So we're gonna have to put that off until we can do that. But that's definitely the next big thing for me.
Well, let's talk about your Paintball Media original films, videos, and photos.
Yeah.
With new content every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. So what should we expect to see if we sign up for that?
Yeah, so if you go to patreon.com/Paintball Media, that's where we'll have this. So it's $7.99 a month, and what you'll get for $7.99 a month is...
That's cheaper than Netflix.
It's better than Netflix, for paintball anyway. We will have all the 140 interviews that we did for the film in their entirety, minus the people burping and stuff, that you can watch. And we're going to drop those 3 a month or so. Then we're going to drop 1980s and 90s news broadcasts and footage from back in the 80s and 90s and legal documents and all kinds of really cool history 3 days a week. So you'll get 12 pieces of really cool history, old photo galleries. Like right now, if you go there, one of the things on the site is a photo gallery from the first game played. So, you're not going to see that stuff anywhere. Or a legal document that ends the debate between which came first, the Shocker or the Angel, or 3 1980s news broadcasts that feature paintball. Just a lot of really cool stuff that didn't make the film.
Yeah.
And really the goal with this, and literally every penny of that $7.99 that people pay will go right back towards keeping this history thing going.
I heard it was $7.98 and you were taking a penny for yourself.
Oh, the rumors are not true.
Very good. And are we still going to see a steady stream of Paintball Media online magazines over the next while? So
we love this project, and it's probably the coolest thing I've ever done. But I'm a paintball magazine publisher, and that's what I'll always be. If I'm still working as a paintball magazine producer. So yeah, monthly magazine is still paintball.media, www.paintball.media. Yeah.
Now, I'm not going to give it away who, but we're going to have one of your editors or submitters on our show in a week or two. I don't have my sheet of which day we've chose to have this person on, but pretty excited. This person is both handsome and knowledgeable, and should be fun to have.
Yeah,
should be fun to have. Awesome. So what else do we want to talk to John about whilst we have him on the show? We have him for a few more minutes. Yeah.
I'm going to tell you. I'll tell you a cool thing that I learned in the research here, if you don't mind.
Fine.
Okay, here we go. So, in researching, I went back and looked at a bunch of different sports like skateboarding, surfing, inline skating, all these kind of action sports, and there's literally no sport that has a start date. It might be 1950, it might be 1954, it might be 1970, it might be 1800s or the 1900s. We actually have a moment in time where our game started.
Yeah.
And I think that's something that is really should be treasured for
and
our
not
game.
to sound callous about that, because that in itself is fantastic. But in the movie, when you said there was no pictures or videos taken of the first game, I was like, come on, really?
Yeah. So they were so intent. Those first 12 guys were so intent in playing a survival game, every man for themselves. They actually had, Sports Illustrated photographer was there. They had a couple other photographers there, but they wouldn't allow them to actually shoot the game. So they did before and after photos, and then they staged some photos for Life magazine and Sports Illustrated and Time magazine. They staged those. Yeah. But yeah, during the actual game, they didn't take any pictures.
Yeah. And I
have some of those original articles from People magazine and Time Life with my 1984 Penthouse and Playboy magazines.
And all of your National Geographics.
And my National Geographics.
Which he used just for projects. Yeah, but that was another thing. I'm surprised how many magazines the story made it to. It's almost like they actively went out and pursued these magazines, but it almost made it sound like they were accepting and wanting to have all this, these stories put in.
But Todd, in the beginning, when paintball war games or survival game first started, it was revolutionary. This was the coolest thing. There was no trampoline places, there was no bubble soccer. The only cool thing you could do was bowling, and this is the next greatest thing for adults to do. You could go out and be a kid again. You could play cops and robbers, hide and go seek. You got to dress up in camouflage, crawl around with your friends, then paint your face. Man, there was nothing like this in 1981 or 82 or 83. It was crazy. There were no video games. There was no nothing.
So here's the question. Go ahead.
Go for it.
So
it didn't hurt that 4 of the guys that played the first game were professional writers too. They were writing for big magazines, Sports Illustrated, Sports Appeal.
That's true. It sounded like the people that they chose to play this game were almost intentional. Hence the wife of the congressman or the senator rather. Yes. Yeah. But sorry. Spoiler alert. Skip ahead. How much did you guys want to punch the people in the movie that were advocating against paintball? They were the weird looking odd characters. They were almost looked like they were typecast for that role. And you just it got heated, and Deborah was right in there, and she was fighting back. But these guys, it's like they drank the wrong Kool-Aid. You could tell that they just weren't. Yeah.
Well, the one guy, name escapes me now, the one who's in multiple scenes.
Tony.
He was a psychologist, and he was so afraid that this was going to ruin America, is now spending the next 20 years in prison, and spent the last 10 in prison for trading drugs for female favors. So this guy was worried about America is in prison for that.
So I was curious about that. I mean, so you've done a little bit of research. Did you try to reach out to any of those naysayers and see what their position was today?
Yeah, I reached out to all of those people, and I didn't get a response back from any of them.
Strange.
And I know, so there's really 4 or 5 guys that were just on the circuit doing all the talk shows in the 80s. And I know those guys probably have a little bit of regret because they chose the wrong side of the fight, and they came out not looking so great. But if you could do a little homework and find out some of those guys' careers didn't go very well.
Yeah. The highlight of that timepiece in the documentary was there was some really stellar facial hair and mustaches.
Yes, Jim Lively had a great picture there. Yeah.
Yeah, they certainly did. So there you go, ladies and gentlemen. I don't know what to tell you. We showed you some of the reviews tonight. We've talked to you guys. We've all seen the show. It's 3 hours. it's a long watch if you're gonna sit down and watch it in one thing. I would recommend you guys paying the $12.95 in order to get it for $12.99 for you, so you guys be able to watch it whenever you can. But he does give you 72 hours for the $9.99. I know it took me almost a half a day to get through it, maybe a little bit longer. So do spend the time, but it's well worth it. Joe?
John, you mentioned there may be a director's cut or a redo version out. Now, when you do the redo version component, will there be a scene where the Huey goes down in a monsoon and then the Playboy bunnies come in? Come on, Gavin, you liked it.
That would only be in if we had a 10-hour movie.
Yeah.
Okay, that's fine.
Speaking of Gavin, don't think you're going to get away with this because Joe just posted in the live comment section. You shaved.
Yeah, we have John here about his beautiful documentary, and you're focused on my facial hair.
Well, I gave John 45 minutes of lip service before I brought it up, but I did want to bring it up. So,
well, it's a special occasion, so it had to be my formal face, right? Again, John, I shave for you. Thank you.
Awesome. I didn't shave for you, Gavin. Sorry.
The beardies are almost winning in this fight right now. Oh, well, we should probably wrap it up here. John, thank you so much for being on the program. Anyone else have any final thoughts or closing things to say?
I've been noticing a lot of people in the chat whizzing by and saying they've bought. So hopefully this gets some mileage, but we need to, I'm in a lot of paintball groups and other groups, and I've mentioned it around. A lot of people don't know that this is dropping. So anybody that's, watching, share some of these graphics so we can really get it out. And I hope the manufacturers that have supported this along with the whole paintball #paintball or PB Strong initiative will give this a share on their social media platforms, because it's going to reach a lot of people if the manufacturers will unite for the history of paintball and give this a great big giant share. So let's hope we can get some PB Strong behind that.
Appreciate that, Joe.
Yeah, for sure. All right. Well, Matt, thank you for being on the show tonight, sir.
Yeah, you're welcome. It was great talking with you, John, and hearing more about some of the side stories and backstories that you cut from the video. But I look forward to purchasing and rewatching it come Monday.
Thank you, Matt. Appreciate that.
There you go. Gavin Sharma from TerraTech Industries, thank you for being on the show tonight.
Again, wonderful to be here, folks, and make sure you hit that like and share button. And one more request is you have to download this damn movie, whether it's by rental or by purchase, because this is an important part of our community and of our sport. So please get behind this.
Yeah, don't worry about liking and sharing this video. Just go buy the link, and we'll worry about the like and share the next time. What about you, Josh?
I just want to say thank you to John. It's rather special for myself to be able to be involved in a sport where I not only know where it came from and how it came about, but to have video proof of all that is fantastic. I've been a big hockey fan all my life. And to this day, they're still kind of, we think this happened during the first game. We kind of think it was here. We kind of like, no, it's like, here's the birthplace of paintball. It happened, like right here, right? Which is fantastic. And we know that, and it's all in video, and it's greatly appreciated. And if anybody's out there that considers themselves a paintball player or they want to get into it, this is for sure something you need to see. I wouldn't even say to people, rent it to watch. Just buy it. Just go ahead and buy it. Just
$3 more.
Go for it. Yep. Just get it.
And don't forget, Monday night we're going to rehash the movie, but we also want to know what snacks and treats you're eating, because Gavin's very interested. So keep a log of what.
It's all about the food.
That's right. And Joe, thank you for being on the show.
Thanks again for tuning in. Thanks for watching. A couple things. Devin Swartz says he's a paintball social media sharing machine. He's going to share it everywhere. So thank you very much. And Dwayne King, bag of chips, our snack food, our favorite in our house, says, great show. See you Monday night. Thanks, John, for spending your Saturday night with us when you could be watching the One World All at Home concert. You can catch the last couple hours of it now. But thanks very much for tuning in. And great. And again, what a fantastic what a fantastic paintball presentation you've created for all of us.
Absolutely.
Thank you, guys. Thank you all. Appreciate it so much. It was great to be on, and thanks for helping me share this.
No problem. All right, guys, we're going to say goodnight. John, don't go anywhere. We're going to end the show. We'll come right back. Thanks, guys. We'll see you guys on Monday night.